Hi crafting friends, welcome to my podcast. My name is Barbara Radzavikas and I'm Bondi Crafter. In this episode is solely made on how I construct a quilt. So I've recently made 5 baby quilts and I'll show you how I made them from scratch, starting with choosing the fabrics, cutting them. I made rectangle quilts this time, so I'll give you the dimensions and everything for how I made these quilts. String piecing, then sandwiching, pinning up, and finally machine quilting on my friend Judith's Sweet 16. So this is a fun episode, but solely on quilting. I hope you enjoy it. If you do, please subscribe to my channel. I would appreciate that, and that would be great. I hope you enjoy this episode. I have to make a few baby quilts, and today I have to make some boys quilts. I've run out of quilted quilts ready to go, so John's cutting out the rectangles for me. I'm going to have quilts made with a 4.5 by 8.5 inch rectangles from these novelty prints that I've got in my collection, especially for baby quilts. I think the small prints are so fab. I especially love little aeroplanes and little trains. They're so cute. So yeah, really good to get a move on with these. I'm hoping to get them machine quilted. I'll probably machine quilt them hopefully on Judith's Sweet 16 this week. So I need to get a move on if I want to do it on Friday. We'll see how we go though. Some other fabrics that I've got lined up for the baby quilts. Ships and lighthouses. Phone rang. Yeah, more fabrics. So I only have small pieces. I only buy small pieces, or Judith gives me some small pieces, which is really nice. And max would be 1/2 meter, I would say. Some I have bigger pieces for backing, like the pirates and the terrapins. Space fabric is always handy and beautiful. I love space too. And little houses, and that is lovely too. And then we need some tonals. So blue, this is for a baby girl's quilt, and this is particularly lovely. And a few more, but yeah, hoping to get all the rectangles cut out today anyway, so that'll be good. This morning I am string piecing the rectangles for the baby boys quilt, and I've got a nice selection that cut out yesterday, and it's very easy to string piece them together. And with the measurement of 4.5 by 8.5 rectangles, I just need 4 across and 10 down, so that's 40 rectangles to make a whole quilt. And that will be quickly done. This is the most important part as far as I'm concerned with quilt making, friends. Make sure everything is flat. Otherwise we get puckers on the back, and we don't want puckers. So make sure everything is ironed and flat. My tip. Okay, so the top and the batting are flat. I think I'm going to re-iron the back fabric. I camera's on a tripod. So the back didn't need ironing, and I can press on now. So this is my toolbox of pinning up equipment. I love it. That's all my pins that I have left that are not in use at the moment. I have got a container I would say would be full of pins when they're not in use, but that is very rare. So now I'm going to pin up, and I'll put a pin right around the edge. Where can we see? I'll put a pin right around the edge anyway, and then I'll sew around the edge. It's a very thin quilt, easy to quilt. I'll put a pin in the center, of each rectangle as we go, and it will take me a good part of half an hour, I would say, to pin this quilt on. So these also are my favorite pins. They're curved, they're not expensive, so I have a lot. Also have a nifty pair. I collect scissors. Nifty scissors like this. They're my birds. They shouldn't have been in with the pins. They must have flown in there when I wasn't looking. Since my last baby quilt quilted, I made just 2 in the last episode, I seem to be into rectangles. These rectangles are 5.5 inches by 10.5. I love the size. And this is a layout for the next one. I've cut out a fair few over there on my couch. And this is a layout for the next one. So it's 8 across by 4 up. I really love the beautiful fabrics in this one. Fireflies and cats in the garden. I will I'll put the names of the fabrics and where I bought them, hopefully most of them, in the description box below when I've finished. But yeah, this is how I lay them out on the floor. So you can see I don't have much space and it's winter, so the heater's on. But yeah, so I have to have a look at them from an aerial view before I start. I haven't got a board either on the wall, so this is it. But I think that's a nice layout. I sometimes like, well, I do like a trip around the world pattern. That's with them going like this or like that. But this time, and sometimes I just like mixing them up, and I like having 2 together. So I really like having, I just think it adds a little detail to it. And yeah, hopefully it will be cute when I finish. I've got cut out over there, I've got, I'd say 3 girl quilts and 3 boys, hopefully. I cut out some plains and that last night, and a garden quilt. I really like these garden quilts. So that's it. So this is, yeah, the layout. How do you lay out your quilts? Do you have space? I don't have space. Not really. You know, I've never had a lot of space, so compact is good. After I've laid them out like that, I stack them into strips so that I can sew them up in string formation. So this one will go there. I'll show you a bit more when I get on with it. But yeah, this is the easiest way to lay out a quilt and sew in a small space. Next step is to stack. So I start at the top, stack them in rows, and then I just start from this side because I'm left-handed and go across. But stacking and stitching is the best way to string piece, I've found. Got them all stacked up. I load them onto my plastic ruler sew with an overlap, so they all fit on. They all fit on. And so they're all loaded up, and then I'll put a cover on that and do the next lot. This is my second layout. I've already got one on the table. Now this is my next one. I'm thinking this will be a girl's quilt or an older person's quilt. I sometimes make lap quilts, and this is a perfect size for a lap quilt. Also, it ends up at 1.2 meters square with the border, if I put a border or a binding. So it's a very nice size, and also most fabrics, 44-inch fabrics, basically I don't need seams in the back, so just one length of the fabric for a back. So perfect. And this is the next one. I really love these flowers. It's a flower garden quilt. The little girl from the firefly fabric from the piece before, the panel that I cut up. I don't usually cut up panels, but it was a border panel, you know, with the border print on each side of the selvage. And so I cut it into pieces that would fit, and I think it's really nice. So now to stack and layer these ones too, ready to sew. I'm hoping to get 4 layered up today. Everybody's out, so hopefully I can whip along and get the 4 laid out. I won't sew them today because I know when I sew them, I'll sew the 4 in one go, but I know my hip will play up because of the height of the chair and how I sit and everything. There's nothing that seems to fix it. But I know that I have to plan for a couple of days after of hip pain, so I want to get ahead with it. You know how it is, you want to deal in a few quilts in reserve in case somebody comes by, or somebody has a baby that you're not expecting, or somebody you are expecting. You know, just reserves is fabulous. So yeah, this is me. This is the second one. Hopefully I will get the next 2 to show too. So my quilting ruler is already loaded up, and I've got out my corkboard and I'll be able to put 2 quilts, or 3, the next 3 on this, and I've just stacked them. And so I will go from left to right. It's the next lot. This is a little fabric box that of paints that I've got ready to make into the quilt tops. Already cut out, already color coded, sort of. Ready to go. So that's how many I've got left. I've already used quite a few of them. This is my next layout. Greens. This could be unisex, I think. I don't think anyone would mind having this one. I love it. It's my favorite. I love green, so you know. But other than that, it is just, I think the colours work well together. Judith gave me the farmyard fabric the other day. I really love it. And it was a big panel, but I cut it up because I wanted to put it into a small quilt, and I think it works well. All the colours seem to work well together. If you have a favourite of what I've laid out, let me know, and it's always good to hear what other people think, especially when you're in a studio or creative space by yourself and there's nobody to chat to or have their opinion. And I just like talking about colours, so jump right in if you have thoughts on colour, how they go together, contrast, colour wheel, It's all great to talk about. You know, I just love it. I love shapes too, so I'm in the right job. Did anyone notice anything in the setting? The previous setting, I only had 7 rows across, so I had to rethink, and this is how it is now. So I've got 8. Has to have 8 rows across to be the square. So I added some flowers. Added this beautiful sort of Monet print, and I rearranged the colors. I think it works. I think it still works well. The leaves with the bugs are prominent, but you know, I think they still work. What do you think? Judith, what do you think? I'm quite happy with it, considering I had to add another row. And I only have so many rectangles in each print. I quite like it. I think I could keep this one. This is my 4th and last one for today. I'm thinking it's got, I don't know, it's eclectic. It's got Baba in it. Do any of you remember Baba? Oh, I love Baba. And I've got some of the little figurines. And I found my fabric with Baba on it, and I had a small piece of it, and I decided to include it in a baby quilt. So this overall colours, I would say, are pastels, pinks, greys, some green. I really like it. I think I'll go ahead with it. Phone call. Yeah, so just getting back to this one. I had to do a few juggling. You know how when you're laying out things and you see something new, you're not quite happy with the position or the colour, and change it around. That was how it was with the white and the little girls with the cats. I was going for something else, and I think I prefer this layout. 8x4. Yeah. Okay, so that's it for the morning. I think I've done this for about an hour and a half, bending over and picking up and sorting and everything, and I'll leave it now until I have a spare morning to sew them up. John wants to go to the movies tomorrow. There's a new Jane Fonda movie out. I'll go and see that maybe once or twice, see what I think of it. But yeah, hopefully I'll get back to this before the end of the week. It's Wednesday, but I might be a bit short on time. See how we go. I just sat down and was looking at my rectangles over there, and I thought, I think I'll make another one. So this will be 5. 5 I'll have ready lined up. It's a Lost in Space. I really love it. I love space fabric. Love the planets and rockets and all this. And the dark, very dark, inky blues. Just the thought of space and time travel is so interesting. So yeah, a blue one. I love the colours in this one. It's just beautiful. And for the back, I've chosen this back. I think it goes nicely with it. I've had this fabric for a fair while, but I don't mind. Flamenco Island it's called. So the colours are just perfect, I think, with that quilt. Hopefully I will get a couple of backs out of this. There looks to be probably 2 meters of it. Sometimes buy fabric if it's on sale. If I go to a quilt shop and they have, you know, their bargain bins, or they have fabric reduced, and sometimes I buy 2 meters for backs, and I have a small collection of backing fabrics, and this is one of them. So I'm gradually going through them, and hopefully I will get 2 or 3 backs out of that piece of fabric. I've finished. This is my morning's work. So pleased with it. Isn't that a beautiful sight? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 quilts, 5 small quilts pinned up. Oh, next step is binding. So that's a big step too, because I've got 5 quilts. So next step. It's Sunday. Everybody's gone to the shed, and I'm up to the stage on these small quilts where I've sewn around the edge, 1/4 of an inch in on the 5 of them. Now I'm going to trim them, and that is a day's work for me. I have been doing it since 7, and it is now 9:20, so 2.5 hours nearly. And it's not a slow job making quilts. Not a fast job, I mean. It's quite slow and intensive, but I'm getting there, and this is a start. The other 4. So I've gone around the edge on all of them, and now trimming. So this is a fun part to get done, and I'm so pleased. Next I will be attaching the binding, then quilting. But yeah, getting on with it. This is a space I have on the end of my table, and as you can see, I am trimming. Judith gave me a new blade for my rotary cutter, and it just is so smooth. You know how it is when you get a new blade for your rotary cutter. So happy. But anyway, I've started. I've made a start. This is my second last quilt. This step will have taken me about 3 hours. So I will be pleased when I've completed it. This is a lovely little pink quilt. I don't usually make pink. I've probably said before, you know, pink is the least colour that I collect. But when I make them up, they are just so beautiful. I made Audrey a ballet bag out of that fabric. And Baba and I think it's Estelle, dear little elephant. And these beautiful clothes that we used to get in books with tabs. And you get the little doll, and you would dress her in the clothes that you've cut out with the little tabs on it and fold the tabs over. I used to love doing that when I was about 10. So fun. This is a lovely quilt. I hope some little girl likes it. And this beautiful fabric I got from the UK. I just love it. So yeah, nice little girl's quilt. Second last. I finished trimming, and that is a nice little pile of quilts. I'm thinking I don't think I can do it today. I've been doing it for 3 hours now. This is a binding I've chosen for most of them, except for the pink one. The pink one, this one has more pink in it. And the flowers, I'm thinking that for the pink, but I'm going to have to make some more binding. And the quilts are just so neat after they've been trimmed. You know how it is. It's just, they're just lovely. All the beautiful colours. They're so cute. This one is my favourite. I just love the colours in it. We'll have a look at it up the right way. I just love the colours, the browns and the golds and that lovely red. And space. So yeah, that's my morning's work. I'll leave it now for a couple of days, I think. I also had some 2.5-inch pieces left over, so I made them into a piece of fabric. Just have to iron it. And then I'm going to make some soup holders, you know, for the hot soup. So I might do, I'll video how I do that, because it's just really 2 squares with some batting in it. So another fun project. This is a space I have on the end of my table, and as you can see, I am trimming. Judith gave me a new blade for my rotary cutter, and it just is so smooth. You know how it is when you get a new blade for your rotary cutter. So happy. But anyway, I've started. I've made a start. This morning, it's the 30th of May, and I'm sewing around putting the binding on my quilts. They're all lined up there. There's 5 of them, and you know, it's not an easy. It's exhausting, really. I've gone round 1, so. And what is the time? It's taken me about 3/4 of an hour to go round. That's to attach the binding. I love the binding, and this time I've put a label on. I found my labels from ages ago, and I thought, oh, I'll attach a label. So there it is. So it's not very obtrusive on the overall scheme of things, and I'll probably quilt through it, although I can see on the front where I've attached it. So that's 1 down, 4 to go. Oh, I'm so tired. Still going. I thought we would have a look at the binding attached, and I think this stage I particularly love when the binding is on, because it makes it nearly finished, but it makes it so neat, the whole project. So this is how it looks. And the binding I made myself, it's just scrap binding, so a lot of 2.5-inch strips of all varying lengths, and I just sew them all together and use them as binding. And I really like it because it's sort of, you know, it goes with all the fabrics. I like mitered corners. Now my mitered corners are getting better. Well, about 3 or 4 years now, I've had mitered corners that actually look really well. The machine ones anyway. And yeah, so a very nice stage to be at. Here's my label on the back. A lovely little quilt. Isn't this beautiful? I mean, I don't want to blow my own whistle, but you know, I just love quilts, and the ones I make I really like, so that's a good thing, isn't it? I particularly love these little firefly catcher people, little girls, and as a little guy too. Aren't they beautiful? We don't have fireflies here in Australia that I know of. I think they're a US insect, or I think they're insects, yes. Yeah, we don't have them here, so a lovely print and an interesting print. The cat one is lovely too. But one down, 4 to go. This is the second binding I've put on, but I think I might leave it for today now. I love this binding. It's all one colour. And it goes really nicely with the quilt. But I ran out just there. So I had enough just to... And you really can't notice. I'm so pleased about that. And I found some other labels, and I put this one on. I think it's really cute. Somebody must have given me these labels, and I think it goes really nicely with the colours and everything. So that is 2 quilts ready to quilt, but I'm going to leave it for now because my back is hurting a bit. So pleased to see the movement in getting a backup plan of quilts for small people, or for someone who needs a hug. So great. Today is quilting day over at Judith, and I'm ready to start machine quilting on this fabulous quilting machine, and it will take me about 40 minutes to get this one done. So see how we go. I'm home from Judith's. I did 2 quilts today on the Sweet 16. These 2 are nicely quilted now. All the fabrics are together, batting's in, and I have quilted everything. So sort of a random loop is the way I quilt. It doesn't take very long, so I did both of them in an hour and a half. I quilted the label too. But you can see my quilting. I like this type of quilting for utility and baby quilts and lap quilts for friends, because they can be washed a number of times over and over and put in the dryer, and it just looks like new when it comes out. It's just all together. So really happy. We'll have a look at the blue one now because I did 2. The firefly quilt is finished too. I've quilted it. You can see the quilting clearly on this one with the plain rectangles. It's such a lovely little quilt with the cats and everything. Yeah, very happy to have them quilted. I have 4 more to quilt. No, I have 3 more to quilt. And probably 4 in the end, because I've just found a cave facet and I want to quilt also. But yeah, so I'm really happy. I love it when it's all quilted and ready to gift. So what are your thoughts on this type of quilting? I don't send it to a professional to get quilted. I just machine quilt myself, and it is really meditative quilting. You know, it's like driving a car, you just cruise along, and I love it. I'm hoping someone will love this quilt. You can't really see the quilting on the back. We chose a colour that matches pretty much the fabric, so that's handy. That's a good thing about a pattern back also. This type of back, you don't see the quilting on it. If there's any mistakes, well, you don't see it. You only see the front. That's lovely. A nice day's work. Well, a couple of hours work. That's me signing off for this episode on quilting. Thank you for joining me. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you next time. Bye, crafting friends.